Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So I went to bed last night at 11:30 East Coast time and everything was pretty normal, and woke up this morning to Elon Musk having quit or not accepted the invitation to the Twitter board of directors. Sorry for, I just look like hell. Usually I have my sunglasses to hide how bad I look in the morning, but anyway, I left them in my backpack after traveling to Austin. By the way, to Mark and Sharon, who stopped by, and we had lunch in Athens yesterday. They were on their way back to their home from Austin. It was really lovely to meet you. So really nice to meet you guys. But anyway, yeah, so if you don't know about this, Elon Musk, what a week he had. Last week, he bought 9.1 or 9.2% of Twitter. He launched the largest factory in the world. He launched 4 human beings into space, and he was accepted onto the board of directors of Twitter for that. And then he didn't accept the board of directors position. So, well, I think I have a busy week, right? I can't even imagine being him as a human being. It's absolutely nuts. So anyway, Dave Lee did an excellent episode on this. It's kind of almost in real time last night at about midnight, I think, my time. But anyway, I just wanted to do a quick thing. I'm obviously at the gym. The Honda dealership is behind me. But basically, the CEO of Twitter, and I'm not going to try to remember his name. I'll mispronounce it if I try to remember it right now. But anyway, he put out an announcement late Saturday night. I think he was probably trying to beat the news, release it late at night so it doesn't have as much of an effect. I think it was like 10:15 or 10:30, or maybe it was 11. Anyway, so there was about a 36-hour gap when Elon Musk Saturday morning decided that he was not going to join the board to when this announcement was posted. And that's an interesting thing. And one of the fascinating aspects of the actual announcement from the CEO was that he said that pending a background check, he would be accepted. And that is a bizarre thing, as Dave noted too. I mean, what in the world are they doing a background check on Elon Musk for? And also, why are they tweeting that? Why is that the announcement, right? Background checks are, of course, very often required for a given position or something like that. But of course, the person who gets the background check has to accept that background check. So, right, if I'm applying for a new job and somebody says we need to do a background check, I have to say, you're allowed to do the background check. So I'm wondering if Elon Musk just said flat out, no, this is ridiculous. And the board of directors said, we have to have this. It's part of our company, whatever, the articles of incorporation or whatever, that kind of stuff. So they could have said, you have to do it. He could have said, I don't want to do it. They said, what the hell? So anyway, that whole thing is its own little drama. It sounds like there was a lot of behind the scenes activity going on for a couple of days. Who knows exactly? But anyway, Dave did a poll and he was asking, like, is Elon going to keep his shares? Is he going to increase his shares? Is he going to dump his shares? And a lot of people think actually that he might increase his shares. During this time, I bought 2 shares of Twitter. I had an extra $100 in my E-Trade account, and I was like, well, what the heck? I might as well buy it. So anyway, I was like, gosh, do I dump it this morning myself? And again, I'm not financial advice whatsoever here on this channel. I suck as an investor, apparently, because I'll have bought 2 shares of Twitter and it'll probably crash and be worth $20 in a week or something. But anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But a lot of people thought that he might increase his shares, which would actually, ultimately be good for shareholders probably. I looked at his tweets in between the time that he said no and the time that the board, that the CEO actually announced that he had said no, and it was a 36-hour gap. And so, I went back and looked at his tweets. The most important one was the one that was probably immediately after he quit or didn't accept this. Again, approximately, who knows exactly what, but he had to have been making the decision if he hadn't made it at that point. But he said specifically that the top 10 Twitter profiles didn't post very much. A lot of those were actually musicians. And that he then said, is Twitter dying, ? Right? That was his thing. And I was like, that is very revealing, right? We don't have access to Elon's mind, but Twitter is a decent space to kind of have some access to his mind. So I thought that was the most telling. There are a lot of different things. He talked about media sources not being trusted. He talked about bots being on there and having a small subscription price, like a couple of dollars a month or $10 or $12 a year, just to root out robots or bots. And if you don't know, there are a lot of bots on Twitter, and it creates a huge amount of noise. It's people just posting things, you know, like buy Bitcoin or buy whatever, or I don't know. I'm sure there's some SEX stuff that's going on there too. I don't usually see that because I guess I'm not the right market for it. I don't know. But anyway, there's a lot of crap that's on Twitter that's just being generated automatically. So a lot of the traffic is probably that. So his suggestion was to have a very low cost, but not zero cost access. And he was saying for, you know, for countries that didn't have as strong of a currency, that the cost would be much lower. But the idea is, you know, if you had to pay, you know, even a couple of dollars per bot thing, right? The idea is to create millions of these accounts and spam them out and see who you can attract. That would be a situation where that could control the bots. And I actually really agree. You know, I wouldn't mind paying $10 a year to get rid of a lot of that crap. But the biggest, you know, so that was part of his discussion over the past couple of days. But the biggest one, again, I think is him saying, is Twitter dying, right? Is nobody's posting, is Twitter dying? I actually am wondering if he may have said, this is the easiest route to go. Just buy stake in Twitter, have influence. But then, of course, the Twitter board, and it was very clear from the announcement how that was going to work, that he has a fiduciary responsibility, which is a legal, you know, go to jail if you don't do this responsibility, to take care of the company. And doing things like posting about having homeless, you know, making homeless shelters out of the Twitter headquarters, probably they would consider that not to be fiduciarily responsible. And he literally said that, and he said it would have consequences. So, you know, and he also said that the Twitter employees wouldn't even notice because they don't come to work. So it was pretty brutal. And I'm sure the Twitter employees, a lot of them, I mean, there were probably some who were super excited about it, but probably a lot of the Twitter employees were like, whoa, 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 you know, what is going on? And the board of directors may have been going, whoa, 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 what is going on? So I think that, oh gosh, I don't know. I think we have two options here. Like I said, I think that he thought, I'll just buy 10% of Twitter or 9% of Twitter, have influence, and make the changes from within. Now what we're looking at is two possibilities. I don't think he's going to maintain his stake in Twitter. There's no sense in doing that, right? Then he just has what influence he has. So one is to buy more shares himself and get other major shareholder funds that would be willing to go along with him, get more than 50% of the shares together in a group, vote out the board, vote in a new board with him as CEO, as chairman of the board, and then go from there and change things from the inside. The other option is for him to dump Twitter, and you know, he'll crash the shares, so he may lose money in the process, but make approximately $3 billion back, which is round about what he spent buying the shares. So get that money back, and you know, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, now he's looking at having to spend a lot of time and effort on this, but he could hire some very, very smart people and mostly stay out of it, but, you know, become like maybe chairman of the board, but not the CEO or anything, but start a new social media platform. It will take years to grow something like that and have the influence that Twitter has already. So it would be a very, very slow, long burn sort of process. But one thing that he could do to accelerate that would be he collects about 100,000 followers or 200,000 followers a day. He's like 81 million followers or something like that. So, you know, he's a major figure in Twitter. Certainly not the only one. I live in this bubble where I follow him, so I see him all the time, but he could certainly quit Twitter. He could just say like, nope, not anymore. And so if you want me, you got to go over here. And if he does that, he will have maybe not 80 million followers, but let's say half of the people, 40 million people, immediately jump ship on Twitter. And yeah, they'll probably still keep their Twitter accounts, but they would be mostly focused on this other platform. And if you're not posting and actively engaging in Twitter, then, you know, that's not helping. So his question, is Twitter dying? Immediately after he declined to take the position on the board. Sorry, I've got allergies too, just to add to the fun. But immediately after he declined to take a position on the board is very, very telling. I think he's very concerned about exactly what is going to happen with Twitter and whether it's worth jumping on this ship. It's like, you know, you've got a ship, you've got the Titanic, it just hit an iceberg. Is it like, can I save this thing? Can I patch it up and, you know, flush out the water and all of this kind of stuff and bring it back up and sail it into port, or is this thing going to sink to the bottom of the ocean, and do I need to jump off and, you know, go find another boat to make the rest of the trip? So that is his decision process. I have no idea which one of those he's going to take. Really doubt that he's going to. I guess what we can look at is, does he buy more shares or does he sell the shares? Which one of those two options, that will give us the ultimate evidence of what he's going to do. If he buys more shares, then it's obvious that what he's going to try to do is create a coalition to take over Twitter, you know, hostile takeover type of situation. And if he starts dumping his shares, then we will know that he is almost definitely going to have some impact in a new social media platform. So it's going to be interesting times. Anyway, I had a whole different video that I was planning on recording today and doing tomorrow, but this was such a big shocker. I was like, wow, we really do need to have a little discussion about that. So anyway, I hope you all are having a lovely day. If you own Twitter shares, you can freak out or not. They could go to the moon if he buys a bunch more shares, or they could completely crash. Who knows? Like I said, not financial advice here, but it's going to be an interesting ride, and Elon Musk is never boring, right? All right. Have a lovely day. I'm going to go have a workout. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.